Good morning, you guys. Good morning, good morning. I'm trying to record this as early as possible. I had this dream in the wee hours of the morning. I woke up between probably 2:30 and 2:45 in the morning after having this dream, and right after I woke up, then my husband's alarm went off. He gets up usually a little bit before 3, or his alarm goes off a little bit before 3, I should say. So it took me a while to write it down. Of course, I'm a mom, so getting my son up and helping him get ready for school and everything. So I hope everybody's doing really well. I hope you've had a chance to be able to, to watch the other dreams that I've had and to pray on them and everything. Always pray, always pray. So I don't think I've ever actually introduced myself. My name is Nana, just so you know my first name. And I do Dear Jesus memoirs for the Lord because the Lord told me to set it up. So I do it 100% for him. Well, he gave me a dream last night, which I'm supposed to share. And I really pray that I can articulate it well enough to be able to get everything across the way that he intended. So I'm just going to go ahead and dive in. Hopefully you can hear me okay. My son is actually vacuuming at the moment. That's his chore. So he's vacuuming. And when he gets a little closer, I'll kind of like tell him to take a break so you can still hear me. So I'm just going to go ahead and dive in then. All right. So in my dream, I'm in a well-lit grocery store, which is up on maybe a 3rd floor, so it has like multiple levels, and I know that it has 3 levels, and I'm pretty certain in this, like I just kind of knew in my spirit, I don't remember seeing the floor number, but I just knew in my spirit it was the 3rd floor of this building. And the inside on this 3rd floor, it's small and it looks like a small town, kind of like mom and pop grocery store. Now, if you're from the Hershey area, which is the area that I grew up in, it's kind of like Pronio's. It didn't look like Pronio's, but kind of had that feeling to it. You know what I mean? It's just like, it doesn't look like a country store, but you walk in and it's much smaller. They don't have all the variety. The shelves are shorter, kind of like that. So kind of just like your like small town grocery store. And there's a young man walking beside me as I push an empty shopping cart. And I know this teen, he's a teenager, and I know him from real life, but I don't remember his name, which is really awful. I'm really actually just bad with names. I didn't used to be. It's just kind of something that's just kind of how I am now that I'm older, for whatever reason. So I can't remember his name in real life. But whenever I woke up, the Lord referred to him as Victor in my dream. So even though I know, I'm certain that is not his name in reality, the Lord told me his name is Victor. So me and Victor were walking around this grocery store, and we're shopping, but I'm not finding what I need, so I'm not putting anything in my cart. And then Victor says to me, "Where's the Peptin?" Not Pepsin. Pepsin, and you know Pepsin is like for your stomach. So he didn't say Pepsin. He said, "Where's the peptin?" And peptin is an enzyme that helps aid in digestion by breaking down protein. I looked it up so I knew exactly what to tell you guys. And I thought it was really interesting because pepsin, it does do that, I think, because it like cuts back the antacid, and you know it's an antacid and it cuts back the acidity and everything for you. So I think that's probably why pepsin is called that, because of peptin, but he specifically said peptin, which meant I had to dive into what exactly is peptin. So it's an enzyme that helps you break down protein. So that's significant. And so that's interesting because if you read John 4, verse 34, it says, "Jesus said to them, 'My meat is to do the will of him that sent me and to finish his work.'" And meat is protein. So when Victor asked for peptin, I thought to myself, his stomach is upset. And I go and I find the peptin for him because he didn't find it because he's a teenager, and you know how teenagers are. Not trying to profile anybody. I was the same way, kind of like, what? Where'd you say it was? Like off in that direction, whatever. You kind of know, like they're not really like quite as focused. So he couldn't find it. So I went and I found the Peptin for him, and it's in like this tall bottle. It was really big. It was like, I don't know, 9 or 10 inches tall. And there were just like a few tablets at the bottom. There were maybe like 10 tablets in this huge bottle. So it only filled like maybe the bottom like that. And I saw the size of the tablets, and they were a little bigger than the size of a quarter. So they were like probably that big. Maybe not as like, I have to be careful with my hand symbols there because I know what hand symbols mean. So, I don't know, just kind of like a little bit bigger than a quarter, but not quite the size of like a $50. And so when I saw the size of these tablets, I thought that would be a tough pill to swallow. He'll have to chew them. And I handed a bottle of this to Victor and said to him, wow, they're expensive, $9, because the tag on it said $8.99. And he said, I know, but I need it when everything starts happening. And he hugs the bottle of Peptin. He's like hugging it to him as he's like walking through the store, like, this is mine. And so he's hugging it to his chest as we walk toward the checkout. And so just to kind of explain all those things, Victor's name means, obviously, victor. That's like pretty obvious. Or conqueror. And I'm guiding him through the store as he follows me kind of like a puppy. And Victor represents someone who has recently woken up from the Great Deception, okay? And I feel like a lot of people don't know what the Great Deception is, so I put the verse in here. The Great Deception is from 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 11, stating, therefore God sends them, meaning the people of the time, a strong delusion so that they may believe what is false, in order that all may be condemned who did not believe the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. Okay, so this Victor, this young teen, represents someone who has recently woken up from the Great Deception. And the people who have the Great Deception on them, it's because, it says it right here, it's because they have pleasure in unrighteousness. They have pleasure in worldly things. They want those things. And you can't be both. You can't have one foot in the door. You can't be on the fence. You have to be all for God or you're in the world, one or the other. You can't be lukewarm. And there's scripture for all that too, but it doesn't really apply to the dream, so I'm not going to get into it. I'm just trying to give you a little explanation there because I know a lot of people say, well, why do some people get the deception and other people don't? It says it clearly right there. Those who have pleasure in unrighteousness, those who love wicked things, they're the ones who the strong delusion is put over. Okay. So further explaining, so Victor is just woken because he's like a child looking for guidance, because I was guiding him, I was showing him. I mean, he stayed like really close to my shoulder, like not, almost like he didn't know what to do, and I was kind of overseeing him. And his name itself, it means that he overcame, and he's struggling with the meat, okay? Which is, the meat is like the word, okay, and what the word really is and what it really means. And fortunately, the pills, show that he's going to endure, that he's trying to endure and he's trying to push through it. But I believe the pills also represent the truth, because of the thought I had said when I said that's a tough pill to swallow. For a lot of people, when they come to the truth about anything, or if they realize that something contrary to what they believed is actually the truth, they really struggle with that. It's a tough pill to swallow, and I said he's going to have to chew on them. And if you've ever heard the saying, I have to chew on that a little bit, I have to mull it over, chew on that. It's the same exact thing. So then also looking at the cost of the Peptin, which was $8.99, so it was $8.99. If you look in Strong's Concordance, $8.99 can mean, it kind of goes down two different avenues of meaning in Strong's Concordance. And lost my place here, which I really need it, so I have the meanings here. Okay, so on the one hand, it can mean garment, clothing, raiment, robe of any kind, from filthy clothing to holy robes. That's the quote for Strong's Concordance. And in meaning, that was the Hebrew. And then in the Greek, it means depth, fullness, immensity, an extreme degree or deep laid plans. And both of these definitions explain the symbolic truth, okay? So the cost of the truth, everything has a cost, and truth especially is costly somehow, especially when you're talking about the end times and you're talking about Christians and standing up for what is true. There's a lot of persecution, there's a lot of price to be paid, a lot of mockery, and those sorts of things, and people not believing you because they are deceived. So the cost is high, but here specifically, $8.99 is the cost. And so the cost of the truth here is what? The white robes of Jesus, the dirty robes of the sinner, because Jesus paid the price for us, first of all. And raiment is clean or dirty, holy or not holy. So we know that the cost of truth as a Christian are the white robes of Jesus, the dirty robes of the sinner, because you have to give it up. You have to give up that old life. And the deep laid plans of the enemy. All these things are sacrificed with the truth, because the enemy can't lay a snare for you when you have the truth in your heart. So Victor is a newly woken Christian who's trying to get a handle on what's going on. Okay? And that sounds like a long explanation, but I kind of just knew this in my dream, but I have to explain it for you guys. So at this point, we're in line to pay, and everyone keeps bumping carts for some reason. And the movement is like if you have one stall and too many horses in it, and they're like ready to go, and they're kind of like stomping their feet and they're pushing to go. That's kind of the impression that I got from this in my dream. And I really felt as though it was symbolic for something, but when I woke up, I didn't receive revelation on that from the Lord. I didn't get any information on that, so I don't want to apply anything to it. I just want to make a point here that I'm pretty sure there was something spiritually symbolic to that movement and that sense of like horses like stomping their feet and ready to go, but I don't actually know. So then there's a scene change, and I'm still in the same store, but I'm walking through a different portion of the store, like on the other side. I'm sorry, I have to drink my breakfast. Try and do everything in the morning. You know, you can't be in all places at once, but you try. So the area over there is still small, but it shows that the establishment that I'm in is like a little bit more upscale. The grocery store was too, but you really see it on this side of the store. So it's a little bit more upscale. And it looks like a Gimbel's department store on the inside with like small round tables, like there's little round tables set up, and they have the cloth table coverings, and then groceries are stacked kind of like in a tower on each table, different types of groceries, I guess things that they're advertising or maybe things that were on sale, I don't know. And over in that area, there are also the elevators, because I told you it was on the 3rd floor. So I'm looking for the bathroom, and I know I have to go downstairs to find this bathroom. And as I approach the elevators, a woman her name is Michelle. I knew her from like the past. It's crazy because I haven't thought about her in years. Her name is Michelle, but I remember like in reality, she told me her name is Michelle, but it's spelled exactly like Michael. Her family just says Michelle instead. So her name is Michelle or Michael. And so she comes out of, there are 3 elevators. She comes out of the center elevator, and I hear her say, she's not really talking to me. She's just kind of saying it as she walks by, and was like maybe she's saying it to someone who she's with. And she says, I just came up the elevator they tell the story about in the dark. And she seems really confident about it. You know, she's walking out just like, no big deal. And when she said in the dark, she meant there was no light in that particular elevator. And you know, the elevator's closed. It's pitch black in there. So she was in an elevator that had no light. Think about that for a second. So, and when she referred to like the story, you know, that she was in the elevator they told the story about, I knew it was a scary story. Okay. So I thought, I'm not using that elevator. And here I feel like I'm missing a biblical reference or a biblical story, because they did specifically refer to like a story. But I don't know what it could be, and I didn't get any revelation on that. So that could just kind of be like, I don't feel it like super deep in my spirit. I just kind of feel like I'm missing something there. So I don't know what the story was, is the bottom line to that. And so I take the elevator all the way to the left, which is small and only holds one person, or two if you stand really close. You know how elevators are. People try to stand as far away from each other as possible. So it could probably fit two in it if you guys, you know, were like shoulder to shoulder. So once at the bottom, I must have used the bathroom, but wasn't shown in the dream. I wasn't actually shown that part, because here it starts like just showing me flash, 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 like specifically showing me pieces, which is relevant because the pieces show you that that these instances are all related somehow. So I see myself on the first floor, because I had gone downstairs, remember, from the third floor to the first floor. So now I'm on the first floor walking back up to the elevators. Okay, so this is a flash. So I'm guessing I had used the bathroom. I don't actually know. So I'm walking back up to the elevators, and I go up and down several times. Those are the flashes. Once using the large elevator on the left, and I actually wrote that wrong. It was all the way on the left, because now I'm downstairs, yeah. So once on the large elevator on the left with like other people, I'd gone, it's a really big elevator, so I'd gotten on with a bunch of people. And another time I was using the center elevator, which had no light. I remember I said I'm not going to do that, well, I ended up using it. And the dark elevator, when I had to use it alone, I got in, and this one was a little bit smaller. So like the group that had like all the people was bigger, the one in the middle was a little bit smaller, and then the one all the way to the far end was like very small. And so the one in the center was like kind of like a medium size, and I had to use it alone. I got in, and as the doors shut, I thought to myself, I'll close my eyes. The elevator can only let off in one place, and when it opens, I'll be at the top. Okay, so I had this confidence that it was going to lead me to where it was supposed to lead me. And so I closed my eyes, and the second I closed my eyes, I hear the elevator ding, and the doors slide open. And I open my eyes and think happily, it was only the length of a blink. This is the fastest elevator. Because literally I closed my eyes, and as soon as I closed them, it dinged, and I opened my eyes. So it was literally like a blink. But I still didn't want to take it again unless I had to, because it just seemed scary that it was dark, because you can't see. Even though you know exactly where it's going, you can't see, and it was scary. And so finally, on my last trip up the elevators, there was a large group of people waiting for their turns, and there was a bellhop there. So now I'm back, even though I just let off on the first floor, I told you everything was coming in flashes. So now I'm back down on the first floor again to show what does the big elevator do. So finally, on my last trip up, there's a bellhop down there, and the look of this store that I was telling you, like it's more like upscale, like it really was on the fancier side. So it had like marble floors and deep colored like wood, like treated wood trim, very nice. It had gold colored elevators, and throughout all this there were 3 elevators, so they had 3 different qualities. To just kind of recap, so the one all the way to the one side is the biggest elevator to carry a group of people, and it's the one everyone prefers to take. The elevator in the middle is the dark elevator, which people find scary, but it's the fastest one. And the elevator all the way to the other far side is the narrow one, which only fits 1 or 2 people at a time. So these elevators are symbolic of spiritual journeys or spiritual roads, okay, that we can take. And the dark elevator was symbolic of blind faith, and I feel like you guys probably already saw that coming. So it's the fastest route, and it's a little scary, and it also explains why the woman Michelle, whose name means who is like God, that's what Michelle or Michael means, who is like God, was so confident when she came out of it, because as Christians we strive to be like God and often walk in blind faith. And the narrow elevator with the light is a spiritual journey walked with both the inside, so this is the other elevator, which was really narrow, but it was brightly lit. So we walk with insight and revelation of the Holy Spirit, seeing what's around us, but not many can go that way. And actually, almost nobody wanted to take that elevator, strangely. Like, nobody wanted to take the dark one, but nobody wanted to take the fully lit one either. Even though you could fit, you know, if you're just there yourself, you can fit yourself in, you could meet each other up there, whatever, but nobody wanted it. Like, everyone had to have the big elevator. So, trying to find my spot now. So the big elevator is the one that everyone wanted to take, and at this point in time, the large elevator was broken. And its doors were open, but it was a couple feet below the floor level, as if it couldn't get up any higher. Hold on one second, because I'm going to get my stuff. Hold on. Brett, when you're done in that room, you can get breakfast and take a break until, right, Frank? What's up?
Because, like, I just skipped up there, but I don't know if that, you know, I had to do the thing again.
What did you skip? What, the kitchen? Why? Tell me why. Well, when you're done with that, honey, take a break and have breakfast, okay? I'm sorry, guys. So, honey, don't worry about it. Just do what Mama asked you to do and then take a break, okay? All right. Sorry, you guys, and actually I probably should have paused that because I have no idea how to edit all that out, so I'm sorry, I don't know how long that was. So, we were talking about the elevators. Alright, I'm sorry, because I actually... So nobody wanted to go on the other two elevators. Everyone wanted a big elevator, and so the bellhop's there, and the big elevator's broken, and its doors were open, but it was a couple feet below the floor level, as if it couldn't get up any higher. And the bellhop says, "Does anyone want to ride? It'll probably get stuck. The elevator is really old." To my surprise, a man walked over and hopped down. Like, he just, like, walked right over and just, like, jumped right into the elevator, and he was completely undeterred. And the bellhop tries to close the elevator doors manually, like he's like pushing one and then pushing the other. And so he was trying to close the elevator doors like by hand. And as he struggles, I kind of say to him, like jokingly, like happily, "Oh, when the elevator stops, do you have, like, you know, when it stops, like when it breaks down, you're in it, do you have ropes that you like pull yourself up to the top like a food elevator, like a food cart?" Oh, I'm so funny in bad situations. No. But that's what I said to him, and he was really not amused. And the bellhop gave me a rude look because he didn't like the joke. Then with the doors still open, the bellhop presses a button and the elevator goes down. And I had it knowing they were going several levels below, even though there's nothing down there. Like, as far as, you know, customers, there's nothing down there that you would want. It's like basement level and lower, and I knew they were going lower than that. And the rest of the large group waited for the bellhop to return with the elevator and say it was fixed. And nobody was willing to take the other two elevators, even though the big elevator only went down, which is not where they wanted to go. Remember, I told you the elevators are spiritual paths, okay? And I quick get into the elevator with the light at the far end, the one with the light that's narrow, and I go upstairs again to where the grocery area is. Okay. And when I come out of the elevator at the top, my dad is there. And in this, he represents the Christian who is of the world and knows better but follows the easy path. And I kind of just want to skim ahead because I feel like I've skipped something. Okay, so what I really wanted to touch base on here, and I don't think, it doesn't look like I wrote it, was the meaning of the big elevator, because the middle elevator, which was dark, is blind faith. It gets you there faster. It's sometimes a little scary, but you know it's going to end up where it's supposed to be. And most people don't want to take it. And I was even in this dream, and in general, I think Christians who are really trying to follow Jesus sometimes are like, that's really nice and all, but can you like give me some confirmation so I know what I'm doing, right? So that's the dark elevator. Light elevator is like the narrow path following Jesus, okay? And Jesus is the gate. You follow him. It's the narrow path. It's not always easy. You're often going alone. And it's not the path that everybody takes. The big elevator, however, leads to a place you don't want to go. It only goes down. These people want to go up. They want food, and they want to go up. But they're all just waiting around for the big elevator, which only takes them down. And it's broken. So this is a broken spiritual path, and it does not lead you to a higher school of understanding, okay? It doesn't lead you to Jesus. It doesn't lead you to the path. Hold on one moment. I'm sorry, you guys.